I'm back. Valentine's. I hope the lighting's on. I know that lighting is there, but it's kind of dark in this room, so I have to light it up. During the daytime, you can't get it dark enough. So, what are you going to do? Yep, I went and I hobbled over to Great Clips and got myself a little haircut. I had a $3 coupon, so this is a $9 haircut. What do you think? It's kind of short, but that's all right because it grows really fast. The little bit that I've got left, it grows really fast. So, especially when you're laying around a lot, it's just easier to wash and all that good stuff. Okay, now we're going to get down to answering some comments. But first of all, someone had asked, and I'm sure there's a lot of ladies like you that are in the plus size category. So I had recommended a couple of patterns that I've made, and I made them in the, you know, 2X size around in that area. And so I was going to show you a couple of pictures. Now these were made by the actual pattern was written by bcrafter.com, and this is called the sherbet caftan top. Now the pattern is free up to an XL, okay? And after that, I don't know how much it was, a couple bucks maybe. It wasn't very much. But here is the sherbet caftan top. Now I made that and I sent it to a friend of mine, and she just loves it. And the colors are almost the same that I made it in. It's very easy. It's made in a couple panels, and it also has a chart for the stitching. So that's it. Okay, so very easy to follow. Um, and it gives you all the abbreviations and everything. So I didn't pull the whole thing because it's quite a few pages. The second one is called the Sand Waves Oversized Dress. And of course, I made this and I have it sitting over there. And I believe that this was made with a 3-ply. But you can make it with whatever that you want it to. This pattern has a crochet pattern from small to 3XL, and that the free written pattern is up to large, size large. Now this is the Sand Waves oversized dress, and it's a little bit longer than a tunic, almost like a duster type. And I put slits on both sides. I can't remember if this called for it, but I did it anyway because I don't like anything tight around my legs or my butt. I like it a little loose and flowing. Okay, can you see that? Okay, there you go. And it's the same. It's the same. bcrafter.com. And the next one, now is this the one I have? I think I kept this. It's called the Lacy Oversized Top, and it's by bcrafter.com. And this pattern, the free goes up to a large, and after that is a paid pattern. And there's a picture of that, and that's in the pink. I think I did it in a gray, like a gray and white color, but it's very comfortable. I think you'd really like it. Okay, so those are the 3 patterns that I have personally made, in the plus size. So let's get down. So we got that, and that was for Kathleen Baldorf. And the other one was Bob Wilson 123. She has a summer mesh top. Now I made that into a top, and she explains to you what you have to do to make it a certain size, and she's very good about that. I love Claire. She does. So go on to Bob Wilson 123. She has some good patterns for tops, mesh tops, and so on and so forth that you can adapt to a size that you want. Okay. let's start from the beginning. The beginning is I was born, as you all know, yesterday. Well, 74 years ago yesterday, I was born. I was number one of a family of 8 children. So it was a family of 10 with 8 children. I was the oldest. I have 5 brothers. I had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. Of course, I'm still here. I have 2 sisters that live here in Sarasota, and I have 2 brothers that live in North Carolina. The the other 3 brothers have passed away, and they were very young. Us sisters, we're hanging in there. My one sister also has a heart issue like I do, and she has like a little, thing that jerks her heart when it stops or doesn't beat properly or whatever. But anyway, my parents were from North Carolina, the eastern part of North Carolina, Greenville, North Carolina, Greenville, Ayton, Winnable, all that little area in there. Um, I lived there from the until I was about 7. I was born in New Jersey, and you got to remember I was a World War, during World War II when I was born, 45, early 45. Then we lived in North Carolina from the until I was about 7. I was in 3rd grade, so I was 8, going on 8. I was 8 years old. Then we moved to Northern Virginia, Falls Church, Virginia, and I lived there until from the age of 8 to 58. So that was a good 50 years I lived there. And when I moved away from home, I lived in Arlington for a while. For years, I lived in Arlington. I lived in Alexandria, Falls Church, Centerville, Gainesville, all in that area. And I bought my first condo when I was 40 years old in Falls Church, Virginia. And believe it or not, it was right behind elementary school that I went to. Go figure. And that was in 1957. And in 19 whatever year I bought my place there. And I was there for almost 20 years. And I moved to Florida in 2002. I professionally, I was a hairdresser, hairstylist for almost 25 years. And then I started having problems with my shoulder, so I had to do physical therapy, and I went back to school. And, oops, I'm just sliding along. And I took accounting. And from accounting, and then I got a job with a law firm for a couple years. They were settlement attorneys. They did a little, every now and then a will or two, but that was basically it. Real estate settlements is what they did. And after 2 years, that was in Old Town Alexandria where I worked. I used to walk in the steps of George Washington. Yeah, it still very much still has the cobblestone streets. We used to go down to this restaurant to get, oh God, they had the best clam chowder. And it used to be a warehouse where they used to warehouse tobacco and all that kind of stuff. And it's right down from Mount Vernon. It's right there in Alexandria, down the Old Town is what they call it. A lot of it's, we worked. Worked off of Royal Street, which is off of Prince Street, and there is right around the corner from where I worked was this little townhouse, I guess you could say it was. But you could put your back on one side of this townhouse and put your foot on the other side. That's how wide it was. Oh yeah. And I don't know what it was back in, in the 1600s, whatever it was, 1700s, I guess. But it was quite a place. After that, I went to work for a company in Arlington, Virginia, down right in the heart of Arlington. And I stayed there and worked for that company through about 5 or 6 buyouts. And then when I got, and we eventually moved, the office moved to Falls Church, Virginia, which was like a half a mile from where I lived. I mean, I could have walked to work if I had been a really good walker. But anyway, that's where I retired. I started having heart problems when I was 50, and then I was hit with such fatigue that was unbelievable when I was around 56 or 7, and that's when I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and I had mitral valve prolapse, which did not help with the health issue. So I sold my condo, came to Florida. That was in 2002, and so that means I've been here, what, 17, can't be 17. 17 years? That can't be right. I go by age, 58, 68, plus 5. So 15 years I've been down here. I did leave for about a year and a half, and I went back to Gainesville, Virginia, and lived with a friend of mine whose husband was terminally ill. And it turned out that it didn't really, I think I was some help to her, but not as much as I would like to, because he was so demanding of her time. And with him being incapacitated, he was very, very jealous, very demanding. He wanted her to basically do everything for him. But it did. I was there when she wanted to go away to with some friends back where she lived, where she was from in Pennsylvania, Monessen, Pennsylvania, and she would go for a long leave Thursday, come back on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. So that gave her some break. So I'm happy that I was able to do that for her. And then she turns out, then I had to have a knee replacement while I was there, and so forth. It was, and after he died, kind of I needed to leave and be on my own because I just wasn't that active. I just couldn't do that much. So here I am. I came back. I lived in Palmer Ranch for about 8 years. Then I moved down here to Northport. I'm still in Sarasota County, and Northport has the cost of living is a little bit cheaper than Sarasota. Was getting way out of hand, and it was just, I couldn't afford to live there anymore. And anyway, so here I am. I have been crocheting most of my life. Well, for what, 50, 60 years. My grandmother was a crocheter, and she did the granny squares. And she'd make a granny square like in a very colorful yarn, and then she would put a solid around it, and then she'd hook them all together. And she made blankets for each one of her children, her grown-up children. In fact, I have the one that she had made for my mother, and it was purple. She had really started to have a problem with dark colors, and she couldn't see that well. So one week, I used to go down quite a bit on the weekends and, visit with her especially when we had a long weekend. I'd leave on Friday and come back on Monday. And she taught me how to crochet. And she had a big basket there, and I was about 20, 1920, somewhere around there. And she had a big basket there that had all this brown and beigey yarn in it, and she wanted me to have it. So when I took it home, I made granny squares just like she did. I made the brown, put the beige around it, sewed it together, and I made a blanket. And I still have that blanket. A little worn, but I still have it. And I don't know what kind of yarn she used. There was a store there called Roses, and that's where she bought her yarn, but I don't know the brand, or I don't remember anything about that. And so she gave up, and I still have the crochet needle that she gave me. It's a G hook. It's all worn and crazy, but that was it. So through my 20s and 30s, 40s, to my 50s, I was always crocheting something. I did a lot of the zigzag blankets. I did one for each one of my nieces and nephews. At that time, and I did a lot of the granny squares. I had a blue and white one I did. I did a lot of blankets, basically because that's all I knew how to do, right? So then when I retired, I kind of got more into knitting. Then I started knitting scarves, and then I would knitted gloves, and I knitted hats. And that was basically all that I did in the knitting thing. But when I was in my 20s, I loved doing needlepoint. Yeah, needlepoint. And you design your. I took a class from a lady who restored the needlepoint projects at Mount Vernon, and she taught me how to needlepoint. And one of the first things I did is I bought this beautiful um, um, footstool. And the pattern I bought from Mount Vernon was the actual pattern, and it was these shells, like shells. And that was the actual pattern that Mrs. Washington, Mary Washington, has in Mount Vernon to this day. But this lady restored a lot of the needlepoint in the in Mount Vernon. So she taught me, and she was very good. She was excellent at it. So that's And then I did a little painting. I took art when I was in high school. I did a little painting here, did stuff like that. And then when I retired, I started doing all kinds of crafts, making Christmas trees, wreaths, started making cards. I would take pictures of my paintings and put them on cards. I took pictures of sand cranes and plants all around where I lived out at Lakewood Ranch. It was a new area, and it was very, very, very pretty. So that's what I did and then the craft thing. And then I started, when I moved to Palmer Ranch, then I started really getting into crocheting. And I started watching YouTube. And I think the very first person that I watched was Claire on Bob Wilson 123. And then I started watching Mikey. And this is before Mikey went with Yarnspiration. Now this is way early, years ago. So that's how I started teaching myself crochet terminology and stitchings and all that good stuff, because I had a terrible time reading patterns. And I thought the crochet patterns would be harder to read than the knitting patterns, because I cannot read a knitting pattern. I mean, I can, but I don't. And how I did it was like I would go and look up a moss stitch, a knitting moss stitch, and you'd get it. It would be a combination of 10 plus 2. So I would make, I'd make a scarf, cast on 30, and then I would do my moss stitch plus 2, and then I would make a scarf. So that's how I did it on the crochet, the knitting. Then crocheting, I started with like scarves, hats. You should see the pictures of the hats. Now, somebody asked me what was my favorite hat, and here it is. I love this hat, and I think I have made it probably 10 times or more. It's called the Peak Hat, and that's it. By Yarnspirations. That's where I got the pattern. The Peak Hat. There's a couple of peak hats, but this peak hat is my favorite. It's not flat, it comes right on up, and it has the front post stitching up to there. And the bobbles here, and I just love this hat. I can't tell you how many times I've made it, but this is my favorite hat that I've made so far. Okay, so now that answers quite a few questions, don't you think? My favorite project. Well, I've had a lot of favorites. But I'm going to show you one. And I made this out of teal. And I sent it to my best friend up in Virginia, Karen. And she loves it. It's made out of bulky yarn. I believe it's a number, you had to use an L and an N. And I think it's like a bulky 6 or something. The yarn that they used was Petron, but I didn't. I found a number, yes, number 6. But I found a cheaper yarn to buy, still expensive. It was about $60 to do this thing. But this is my favorite, one of my favorite things that I've ever crocheted. I just love it. It's got like the turtleneck. It's like a poncho, but it's heavy. It's got beautiful ribbing around it. It's got the neck, the turtleneck top and everything. You can see all my writing on it because I had to figure out how many yards were in the original and then how many was in what I was going to buy, so I know how many bought. You understand. Yeah, it's a little, yeah. But it took me a while to figure it all out, but I got it figured out. But that's one of my favorite things that I've ever crocheted. And the other favorite thing that I crocheted was I took a pattern from a granny square. It was 15 inches. That from Crystal Bag O' Day. It was beautiful. Had all these boggles in it. And had a little lacy. It was just gorgeous. And I have a picture. And if I can do it before I post this, I'll get a picture and I will put it right here at 22:15. Let me write that down. 22:15. And I'll show you that picture. But it was, of course, I took it and made it more of a triangle, up, down, up, down. And it's 2 layers, and I sewed them together. And what you do is you just drape it at the end of your bed, and it draped to the side and on the, and at the end, at the bottom, and then a little bit on, and it was beautiful. I just loved it. So that was another of my favorites. Let's see. I love living in Florida. That was another question. So Deborah asked me. Yes, I love living in Florida. And I'll tell you why. With the fibromyalgia, it's very hard. When I went back to Gainesville for that year to help, or a year and a half to help, to be with Ruthie and Lenny, I were miserable. It was so cold. We had snow and ice, and I hurt so bad. I ended up in bed most of the time because I just couldn't face it. I just couldn't move. So yeah, I'm very comfortable here. I really am. My favorite colors, I love salmon and teal. I have a lot of teal, teal, very light teal. Well, kind of, like this color. This color I like. And salmon. I like bright colors. I don't care. Pink, I don't care. I like bright colors. I feel dead in a dark color. I have a little bit of black and I wear it when I don't feel well, but I don't like it. I'd rather have the bright colors. I know dark colors are supposed to make you look smaller, but you know what? What do I care? Huh? What do I care? Whether I look small or big. I'm what I am. I'm big. What did the doctor say? I'm morbidly obese. That's me. So I know. When you're not active, when you're sick, and you can't go, and you can't walk, and you can't do exercises, what are you going to do? Don't eat any more than I did one before, but I'm not a snacker. But I eat my breakfast, I have my lunch, and I have a nice dinner, like I'm supposed to have. I'm healthy. I am healthy. I really am. No diabetes. I have neuropathy in my legs, but I'm not diabetic. and all my blood tests have always been perfect. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better result. But anyway, that's how it is. So, you know how long I've been in Florida, how long I've been crocheting. See, I knew my favorites, I told you that. My favorite yarn. I like bright colors, of course, but my favorite yarn. I think my favorite yarn to do blankets and stuff like that is Red Heart. I know a lot of people don't like Red Heart, but I think it's gotten better. I can tell by the texture it's gotten better. But boy, I have a blanket on my couch that I made, let's see, probably 25 years ago. And that thing, I wrap it in every day when I take my naps. I just like to have something on me. I'm not one to just lay there. I like having some weight on me when I take my naps. Yeah. Cindy Kenny, you would ask me a question about what famous person I like to meet. Okay, it's between two. One is Sam, good old Sam, that's his name, who plays Jamie Fraser in Outlander. I absolutely, he makes me, whew, I just, whew. And the other one that I have loved, loved, loved. I don't care about meeting George Washington or Abraham Lincoln and all that. I met John Kennedy when I was in high school, and all that stuff because we lived in Washington. We did a lot of things at the White House and the Capitol and all that stuff because I was in chorus and we sang at all these places. But I used to have a picture. I used to have a picture of Matthew McConaughey, and I hung it in my little cubicle area where I worked, and people would actually come up to me and say, "Hey, is that your boyfriend?" I said, "Oh yeah." I he when after he lost that weight, and he's never really gained that weight back the way he was before. Well, I liked him before. He was like in made in, oh God, what was that? I can't remember some of the movies he's in it, but I just think he's gorgeous. I really do. When he smiles, I just love him. Mm-mm. Mary Shaka. I live about 50 miles from Fort Myers. In fact, that's the airport that we use if we go out or drive back up to Sarasota. And if you'd like to meet up sometime that you're down, I'd love to. Just let me know. We'll email each other and get it going. I told you that I ordered a webcam, which should be here between now and Monday, I think. So it'd be a surprise if it came earlier. But so that I'd be able to I wanted to do a tutorial for the doll, and I want to do a tutorial for my little headband. It's so easy, and I put two yarns together to make it like 2 4s to make it like a 5 or 6. I don't know, but it's just I don't know. It just gives it that I don't know the way that it lays. It doesn't there's no holes through it, and it's very solid, and it feels so good. So that's coming. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Weather. The weather here is wonderful today. I went and got my hair cut. It took me like 20 minutes to walk to the door, and I was parked right there in front of it. But we got it done. I've never been married. I do not have any children. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, but none of them are really that close to me or with me. Some that I just love to death. Uh, my parents my parents moved down to Sarasota in 1965 or 66. I can't remember which one. But I was already out, had an apartment, had my career there in Virginia, so I stayed. My brother was in Vietnam, and my parents moved to North Carolina with the other 6 children. And my baby brother was like 2 years old when they moved down because there's like a 20 years difference in our ages between me and the youngest. And my mother, um, I think my mother was about 42. Yeah, 42 when they moved to Florida. Well, she was 40 when she had the baby, and then 2 years old, so she's 42. And she was here. She was just beginning to really. She hated Florida. She hated it, but she was just beginning to like it, and she loved the church. My mother was a singer. She had a beautiful voice. She sang solos, and she was in the choir, and she taught Sunday school. And then at the age of 46, a Sarasota garbage truck hit my mom about 11 o'clock in the morning and killed her instantly. And yeah, it was very, 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 it was a shock of my life. And my baby brother was six, just turned 7 maybe, or I know he was like in first grade, I think. So it was really, really tough on him. So my dad had the 2 smaller boys and then 2 teenage boys. And so it was tough going. So they've been here. So I've been coming to Florida off and on since 1966 or 65, whenever they moved down here. My favorite hook is I and J. I love I. I just gives me, for me, I'm not a real loose. I've learned. I used to be a real tight crocheter, and it would actually start to hurt my hand, especially here my finger. It would actually get so sore that I couldn't stand it. So I've lightened up on my stitching now. So I like the I and the J. G and H. It's okay if you're doing the the thinner yarn, but I really like the J and the K. Okay, I like bright colors and variety and so on and so forth. No, I went and did the pots today, Pam, from Red Gingerbread. I still have one pot sitting there that I had there all along, and I haven't washed it yet. But I did get a lot done today, but not completed. My legs started hurting, so I just said, we'll get to it another day. Hopefully another day. Carrie Penny wanted to know what kind of art. I like abstract. I also am really drawn to Monet, Van Gogh, and I love local artists. I don't know if you know this, but down here in Sarasota, they have St. Armand's Circle. They have these high-end art shows, and most of the things that I have in my house, I have bought at arts and craft shows. I have jackets. I have aprons. I love other people's art and their artistry and what they do with it. I used to. You wouldn't believe when I was working and I had money, we would go to all these beautiful art shows, and we would go early. There was one in Virginia, and oh God, I can't think of the name of it right now, but I know I will. But it was the little old Quaker. There's an old Quaker town right in the little mountains of Virginia, and we'd go every year, and they would have they'd be spinning wool, and They'd be making things by hand. It was just beautiful. They had some beautiful stuff there. You would have loved it. But I love local artists. I really do. My girlfriend painted me a picture, a painting, and I have it sitting in my living room. I also have a painting by a girl that I went to high school with, and it's of four women playing bridge, and I loved it. And when she saw me, she remembered because she went to high school with my brother, in the same grade as my brother. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, Penny, I love art. You just don't know. Uh, I do. I wish my talent. I wish that I could have the not the mentality. I have the mentality, but you've got to have the mind, the creative mind to put it all together. And sometimes I did some great paintings, and sometimes I didn't. Of course, the one I'm most proud of that I did for Lenny was the one. Um, there's a chair sitting on the beach, and there's a hat hanging on the back. Well, I could show you a picture of it, but I'd have to get up, and I don't want to get up. I'm being just resting my leg. You saw my favorite hat. Um, how did you figure out how to start your channel? Okay. It's been the back of my mind because this past year I've done so much crocheting. I made the dolls. Okay, that was something that a girlfriend who also has fibromyalgia. She said, "Have you seen those Damn It dolls?" I said, "No, what are those?" Playing real dumb because I was dumb. I'd never even heard of them. But she's more into it. She says, "Oh yeah, they're just talking about those Damn It dolls." She says, "Go on and look at it." But she says, "I can't see why you can't crochet those dolls." I said, "Okay, I'll get a look at it and I'll give it a try." Well, I gave it a try, and I started making a bunch of them. I made 4 or 5 for her to give away at Christmas time. Then I made, I don't know, 20 or so for that I took to, excuse me, to my craft fairs. I oh God, what was I saying? Oh my God, I can't believe it. Anyway. Then I did washcloths. Then I did the towels. The regular towels, and then putting the toppings on. I washcloth, towels, slippers. You wouldn't believe how many slippers that I made. Of course, they didn't sell very well at the craft show. I saw maybe 4 or 5, and that was it out of the ton of them that I made. Um, I made scarves. I made shawls. I mean, I had enough that I filled 2 8-foot tables. Really, I did. But what I did at that last, I did 3 craft shows in in December. At that last craft fair, I said, "This is it. I'm not doing this anymore." It was outside. It was on the water. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day, but I was exhausted. I can't carry things. That could be why my knees got weaker and weaker, because I just had to carry your stuff, and I had totes. I had 4 totes full of crocheted items. 4 totes. And the last one, I put a sign. Wait till you won't believe this. I put a big sign on the table saying, "Going out of business." So I put all the little things, like the little soap bags. I made those, and all these little things on one table. I said, anything on this table is $1. Seriously, $1. Then on the other table, I put a sign that everything on this table is $5. And then there's some things that I couldn't sell for less, those. But like I made a ton of bags out of plastic, and that's another video I'm going to try to make, is to show you guys how to cut up your plastic bags, make your pram, whatever you want to call it. I call it plastic bags, balls. Cut them up. You link them together. Make your balls, and then you can it's just like regular crocheting. You can do it. You have to use a different needle, but you can do it. I know you can do it. But the like the Walmart, the Publix, those kind of bags are they're all just brown and gray or whatever. Those are great for. I made two, and on my third um, mat for the homeless. Made those. The third one I haven't finished yet, but I got two in there, and I haven't given them out yet, but I will. And but I wanted to have more than that. And I've put off, with all this crocheting I've been doing, and then this channel here that I've been doing, I've sort of put off doing that. But I think if I get the webcam so I can show you, then I can get busy and show you how my little routine goes. And then you can do it yourself. Save the bags. And even when you go to Walmart or Publix, you can take the plastic bags out of the recycle bins if you want. They'll let you have them. And then I have some pretty ones. In fact, Debbie from Canadian Crutcher, she sent me this beautiful purple bag. Now, when I cut that up, that's going to be a beautiful, to put like on the bottom of a bag or put it through the top when you make your thing. You could do all kinds of stuff. Boy. So anyway, so I was thinking, I said, God, I could do a channel. Why can't I do a channel? Well, all I had was a laptop. Everybody does it on their phone. I don't have a phone. I'll do it with a camera. I don't have a camera. All I have is a laptop. And it's broken and hanging on by the hinges, but it's a laptop and it still works. So I figured, well, maybe I could do that. So I got in touch with Debbie, sent her an email, Debbie from Canadian Crotcheter, and I told her in one of my emails that I was thinking about doing it. She said, go for it, girl. Do it. So by gone, I did it. It took me a while to figure out how to do it and set it up, and the camera and how to load it and all that stuff. And I still don't do the editing and all that stuff. And I'm sorry, guys. I just, I'm just, this is it. You got it. Okay. Maybe we'll do live and maybe that'll even be better. My favorite crochet stitch. I love the half double crochet. And I also love the double crochet front posts and back posts. I just love those. Those are my favorite. Favorite place I've ever visited. Oh my God. Oh my God. Before I answer that, Rose likes crochet bee. Wanted to know what my favorite brand of hook is. The cheapest. I don't know any different. I go to Walmart or whatever, and I just had the plain ones, and then I started buying these because boy, is that better on my thumb, and I just can crochet up a storm with these. But yeah, and I think this is like a boil. God, I don't know what it is. It doesn't even have a name on it. But anyway, this is it. This is what I use. Just whatever's the cheapest. Yep. Just like I went to the I had some cancer on my stomach and I had to have it removed, and I was sitting in the dermatologist's office, and I said, and he has a dog. He had a little dog, and the little dog comes sit in your lap while he was working on you. It was so much comfort. And I asked him, I said, what kind of cat would you get? Because I was thinking about getting a cat. And he said, a free one. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's get back to the favorite. Karen, you want happiness is homemade. Favorite place visited. My favorite place that I loved, and I went there twice, was Great Britain. The first time I went, we went to London. And we stayed in a place called the Hotel Washington. Here we were from Washington. And we stayed in the Hotel Washington, right across from Mayfair, which I know if you read these, these Harlequin, um, and it's true, Mayfair was a very exclusive area, but that was in the old days. Now in the new days, that's where the tarts hung out. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was fun. So um, I loved it, and I'll tell you more about those. But this is getting kind of long. But I'll tell you about those trip. That trip. The second trip went over with my friend Karen. We stayed almost 2 weeks. We flew over. We rented a car, and we had talked to different people about places to go. One was Chesterfield, and we were going up into Edinburgh because we were going to be there for a festival and go through the castle and all that good stuff. So we just kind of worked our way around the East Coast, and we went up to Ayr. Well, we ended up staying in Ayr a couple of nights, maybe 3 nights. Well, anyway, that's another story. And then we traveled on up into Edinburgh, and we went to the festival and we did some things there. And then on the way back, we went down the West Coast, no, East Coast, and we went to Oxford and all those places, Cambridge and all those areas, and then back to London. We went to a lot of plays, and I'm going to tell you that story in a separate video because it would take me too long to tell you all the wild things that we did. But I did want to get down. You said you saw my favorite hat. This was my favorite hoodie that I ever made for the kids. And I made them in like a 3T. And this was by, Heart Hook and Home. And I made it with the pockets and the kids and buttons, and the kids loved them. So that was one of my favorite child things that I made. The other thing that I loved, and this was by Hopeful Honey. Hopeful Honey. I don't know who. Hopefulhoney.com. And this is the 1920s Gatsby hat. I loved that hat. And you could put a beautiful brooch in that, but isn't that pretty? I'll show you the back. The back goes down. Here's the back. See how it goes down? Like, if you have long hair, this would be beautiful. Even short hair. But I loved making that. And another thing before I close this off at almost an hour is, you see this little top? I made that and I in exact same colors. Exact same colors. And I believe this was Red Heart Super Saver. And it was Ski 964 Primary. Whatever that means. But look at that little top. Well, I had, from a different person, Amy Crochet Creations, I had this, see this little skirt? And this top. I made it both out of the same yarn, and it was the cutest damn outfit you have ever seen. The little girl that put this on, what I mean to tell you, she thought she had won the lottery. I mean, she looked so sharp in that. But that was so pretty. This is called the Autumn Spice Bolero, and it's by Interweave. If you know anything about interweave.com. I made this for my niece. It's a bolero with long sleeves. And I did it in the burgundy like that, the burgundy red. She loved it. And see, that's a challenge. I love doing things like that. Then this one I made, it's called a filigree cardigan. It was designed by Kimberly McAlden. It's Stitch Nation by Debbie Stoller. And this is a filigree top. Isn't that beautiful? That was so much fun to make. But I mean, you should see the markup I had on that. And they give you, small, medium, large. They give you different sizes if you want to make. Let's see. The other thing, and you guys should try this. This is the paw print scarf. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was designed by Amy B. Amy B Stitched, and it's Amy's Stitch-a-Time blog. But you see that? Here we go. It's got paw prints on it. It's fun to make. It is. If you know someone that has a dog and they do dog walking, they walk their dog, what a great scarf to make for them. I'm giving you guys some ideas. Now, this one it's called the Lacy Iceless, I don't know, crochet shawl. It's made with, and I followed the chart. Isolices. Don't even ask me to answer. It was Super Saver Ombre. Is what it was made with, and here's the picture of it. And it turned out really pretty. I did it in the blue, blue. But I can imagine it would be pretty in that color too. But isn't that pretty? And that is things that I've made that I've really enjoyed. Then Bob Wilson came out with a crochet pattern. Now I think she made a blanket out of it. Waves and peaks and valleys, heights and Bargello crochet looks. More complicated than it really is. Well, anyway, I haven't made it yet, but this is something that I want to make, and Bob Wilson did it. See that pattern? Isn't that unusual? And look at the colors. It's like she's got 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. 4 colorways in that. But isn't that interesting? I mean, I'm sure she'll probably explain to you, if you wanted to make a scarf or whatever. Oh my God, I am just running off at the mouth. Okay, that's it. I probably won't have, I doubt if I have anything tomorrow, but if I do, we'll have one this weekend or whatever. I'll take off tomorrow since I've been running my mouth all day. I'm going to say happy Valentine's Day. I hope you all are out having a nice dinner with your loved one, champagne, eating candy, surrounded by lots of bling. Lots of bling. But I love you guys. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope I answered all your questions, that you asked. And we know where I'm from, or where I've been, and where I'm going. I'm so happy that I did this. I really am. I'm happy that I decided to do a channel and communicate with you guys. And it's been a blessing, a real blessing in my life. And I hope I don't take on too much. But, they say God won't let you take too much that you can't handle. So, I'm just going to take it easy and continue crocheting like I crochet, and we'll go from there. But thanks for tuning in, and it'll probably take me probably all night to download this. I'm so sorry, but y'all can sit back, get your crochet needle out this weekend, watch me run off at the mouth and answer your questions. And we have, just so you know, we have 101 hats, and please keep them coming, because we are going to have another one. And plus, I'm going to check with one of my subbies who might have a place where we can donate some too. So let's just keep them coming while we can bring joy to some other kids. It's beautiful. You've all done a great job, and I'm going to start typing up a letter this weekend to the teacher and start dividing up the hats the way kindergarten and so on and so forth, and some for the teachers. Okay? Thank you all very much. I love you guys to death. Have a good night. Have a glass of wine for me. Red wine, please. Well, have two. It doesn't hurt to have two, does it? I don't know. Should I have a whole bottle? I better get out of here. All right. See you later. Bye, guys.